I think all of us have had many ideas of what an ideal team would look like and all the powers, styles, costumes and weapons this team would have. Thanks to the new artificial intelligence technology we have now, we can create anything we can imagine, so I decided to create a team based on the elements of nature. This team only has 4 members, and the 6th Ranger would be the 5th member, but remember that in the Power Rangers franchise the 6th Ranger is not always the 6th member. We'll start with the Blue Ranger, the leader of this team, who uses the water element, but normally he will use it in the form of ice or snow. His main weapon is an ice axe, and this ranger also has the power to control water in any of its forms. He is a very intelligent ranger, and his best talent is to create strategies. We'll continue with the Green Ranger, which uses the earth element, and this is going to be a wild ranger that will dominate the entire jungle. His main weapon is a magic hammer with which he can break any rock, create earthquakes and protect him from any spell. Next is the Red Ranger, which uses the fire element. This ranger does not burn anything, heat does not affect him, and he has the power to throw fire and volcanic lava. His main weapon is a fire sword that can cut anything, and his personality is to be a very reserved ranger because he gets angry easily. The last ranger is the Yellow Ranger, and she is the small change because instead of using the air element, I decided to make this ranger use energy. This ranger always lives in the big cities, and you can mistake her for anyone, but she really has the power to control electrical energy, including thunder. Her main weapon is a futuristic gun that simply works to channel all the energy and direct it to a specific point. His personality is very cheerful, he talks a lot and never gets tired. His costume has a more futuristic style due to the fact that he comes from the future, but since the right technology doesn't exist in this era, he couldn't go back to his real time. These 4 Rangers are very different in everything, but because the Blue Ranger is a great leader, they will form an excellent team. With the elements fire, water, energy, and earth, this team will be called Power Rangers Elemental Force. This new team is led by a powerful space warrior named Kairos who was born on the same day as the birth of the universe and has more power than the Morphin Masters. His power comes from the Morphin grid, and because he was the first to connect to the grid, his power is pure. His name means Master. He has no male or female gender, although his appearance seems masculine. He has a powerful staff that connects him directly to the grid, and if he does not have it, then he begins to die slowly because his power is what keeps him alive for eternity. Thousands of years ago, Kairos was the defender of the universe, but after so many battles, his body is very weak. That is why the grid has given him this staff so that he can guide others and help them defeat those who want to destroy the planets. When the universe was created, the power of good was formed, but at the same time the power of evil was formed. One of these evil powers was hidden for thousands of years, and not even Kairos himself was aware of this power. After all those years, this evil power spawned a very powerful sorcerer who has the ability to destroy the Morphin grid if he manages to feed his power for several more years. The name of this villain is Zarnak, which means God of Evil, and this villain will never be able to be transformed into a good being since he comes from the pure evil of the universe. Zarnak feeds on energy, and that is why he always tries to destroy the planets as they have a lot of energy in their core. This evil sorcerer has discovered that when a planet has inhabitants, then the core has more energy, and this is why he now wants to destroy the Earth. Kairos wants to stop Zarnak before he destroys the Earth and before he learns about the Morphin grid, the largest energy source in the universe. Hundreds of years ago there were crystals buried in different parts of the planet that used the power of the natural elements of the planet and could create a connection with the grid for a team of humans to use this power. This is how the Power Rangers were created, but this had not happened hundreds of years ago, and no human being today knew of these powers. Kairos found the 4 crystals that formed the Ice, Fire, Electricity and Earth Rangers, but an additional crystal was still missing. Because of Kairos' connection to the grid, he was able to find the crystal easily, but he noticed something very strange. This crystal was buried in a very old temple and was still connected to the ranger who carried this power. The gold crystal controlled the 4 elements, and the ranger who had used it was born hundreds of years ago. This ranger did not know of the existence of the other crystals, and with his power he could control all the elements by channeling all that power through his staff. The Golden Ranger managed to defeat all the enemies of his time and developed peace on the entire planet. One day the Morphin Masters appeared to him and told him that he should take a long rest in order to help the Rangers in the future to defeat a very powerful villain. The Morphin Masters helped him so that the gold crystal would keep him alive all this time, and now Kairos has found him. The Golden Ranger joins the Power Rangers Elemental Force team to be the 6th Ranger despite being the 5th member of the team. Kairos has created a command center with highly advanced technology that comes from other planets and has hidden this base at the North Pole so that it can be camouflaged in the snow. In this command center the Rangers will have everything they need to protect themselves and also to live there if they need to. The Rangers will use a morpher which will have a piece of the crystal of each Ranger in the center, and this morpher will help them to transform, but also to teleport and communicate. Because the threats are sometimes gigantic, the Rangers have their Zords, which are giant fighting machines. These powerful robots also use the power of the elements, and each one connects to the Ranger who has the crystal. The Blue Ranger has this giant blue robot that can use ice, water, and snow. This Zord lives in cold places and is the Zord that is closest to the command center. The Red Ranger Zord can control fire and lava, that's why it lives inside a volcano. This Zord is made of the most powerful metal as it must withstand high temperatures and is basically almost indestructible. The Yellow Ranger's Zord is made with the best technology in the universe and can accomplish amazing things. It is basically a supercomputer with a warrior's body and also controls electricity. The Green Ranger Zord lives in the jungle. It is a very wild robot and is the strongest robot in existence. It has the ability to move very heavy things and can also dig very deep. The 6th Ranger Zord has an ancient civilization style and is the fastest Zord. Like the Gold Ranger, this Zord can control all 4 elements and lives in Latin America. She is Astra, a female warrior from a planet called Nebu where Power Rangers did not exist. The Morphin Masters managed to create the White Crystal Stone, which contains all the pure energy of the universe, and they had to search all over the planet for someone who was noble of heart to give her this power. Astra was the chosen one, and from that moment on she became the only ranger of her planet. This ranger can control the air, and because of this she has the power to create tornadoes, storms, and strong gusts of wind to attack. In her hand she always carries a sword that allows her to create energy shields, and it obviously also works for fighting. The most unusual power that this ranger has is that she can fly, since her control of the air is so precise that she uses the wind to move anywhere, and this helps her to travel faster. She is so powerful that she managed to wipe out all the enemies of her planet, and now Nebu is at peace. This is the Zord she uses, a giant metal warrior that has a golden sword with a red heart and is capable of destroying almost anything. Because this Zord runs on the power of the pure energy of the universe, it also cannot be corrupted by evil, and this makes it one of the most powerful Zords in the universe. In his chest we can see how all the energy flows, and his horns crown him as the most powerful warrior of the planet Nebu. In this image we can see Astra's physique without her costume, a yellow skin, with large yellow eyes and around a little orange. She comes from a species called the Lirans, which are beings of peace and are experts at surviving in any difficult situation. Unfortunately, one day their planet was invaded by a monster called Vrox, which is pure evil, but not very intelligent. This monster feeds on the natural resources of each planet, and that is why it keeps invading different planets throughout the galaxy. Vrox has an impressive strength and has great agility in combat. Several centuries ago, Kairos had defeated this monster and managed to leave him locked in a deep cave in the center of a distant planet. After several centuries, Vrox returned, and the first planet he invaded was Nebu. It was for this reason that the Morphin Masters transformed Astra into a ranger, since they also knew Vrox's power. This monster managed to destroy a large part of the planet Nebu and took the lives of many Lirans, but Astra was able to defeat him before this villain finished them all off. Although this seemed like a victory, the reality is that Vrox knew that there was an energy of nature's elements on planet Earth, and if he manages to consume that energy, then he can become more powerful than Kairos. Now Vrox has teamed up with Zarnak in order to steal the power of the natural elements, and they both seek to destroy Kairos and the Power Rangers forever. Because of this event, the Morphin Masters ask Astra to travel to Earth so she can help the Rangers defeat Vrox, since she knows him so well. Unfortunately, the Power Rangers Elemental Force team is having a hard time defeating these two powerful villains, and Kairos, the mentor of this team, had a great idea to help them. One of the powers that this mentor has is that he can travel through the multiverse, since he is unique in all universes or dimensions, and there is no other entity like him. This is why he asks Astra, the White Ranger, to travel through the multiverse to find another team of Rangers called Power Rangers Dragon Knights. In the universe in which this team is located is number 317, a place with a medieval style, even though they live in the year 2600, and here there are things that seem fantasy in the main universe. An example of this is that in this universe 317 there are dragons, which are almost indomitable, and only the most powerful can control them. Each member of the Power Rangers Dragon Knights team has a dragon, and each of these dragons has different abilities. Some are very strong, some are very fierce, and some have extreme speed. Let's meet the leader of this team, the Black Ranger, and the strongest ranger of this whole team. His dragon's ability is strength, and that is why this ranger is also very strong. All of these rangers have knight armor, and they all use a very powerful sword that can also create magic. The Black Ranger can block dark magic, and this is possibly why Kairos wants to look for this team precisely. In addition to that, it is also that this team is so powerful that they have managed to defeat all the villains of their universe, and at this point they have had a lot of peacetime, so they have the perfect time to be able to help other teams. Even though this universe has a medieval style, magic is very common here, and that is why these rangers know very well how to travel through the multiverse. Previously, Kairos had already met this team and helped them in other battles, so this situation is not going to be strange for the Dragon Knights. Another very strange thing about the 317 universe is that people can last up to 500 years of age, and that is why this Power Rangers team has a lot of experience, since they all have more than 300 years of life. This Black Ranger is named Frank, and he is 364 years old, being the oldest of the team. His armor is the heaviest, and while he is wearing it he cannot be attacked by magic. Frank has a dominant strategist and leadership personality. In his universe he is a great legend since he has never lost a battle fighting melee with his sword, and that is why all those who have faced him have failed. The second in command of the team is the Magenta Ranger, who is Frank's wife, and her name is Luna. She was destined to be a princess, but from a very young age she was a very tough woman and quickly began to learn how to fight. Luna is 358 years old, and her skill is precision, which helps her to never miss in her attacks. Although this ranger has a sword, she also has a very powerful bow that can shoot magic arrows, and this is why many fear her. Because this is the multiverse, perhaps this is a very similar version of Ranger Slayer, although her life story is very different. The next member of the team is the Green Ranger, which is the youngest of the team, and his name is Max. This ranger is the bravest of the team and his most incredible ability is his speed. His dragon is also the fastest in the universe, and that is why it is always very difficult to defeat him. Max was always someone very shy who was running away from every situation, but when the Morphin grid chose him to be a ranger, he had the courage to accept the challenge. The next ranger is the Yellow Ranger, the newest member of the team, although he has actually been an official member of the Dragon Knights for over 100 years. The previous Yellow Ranger was a great ranger, but unfortunately, he died in a very dangerous battle, and now Jack has replaced him. Jack is 360 years old, he is a very cheerful man, and his best skill is magic. This is why he is known as the team's wizard, and he was the person who gave all the magic to the Black Ranger armor before he was part of the team. Jack can create almost any type of spell and is the one who achieved communication with Kairos since he knows very well the travels through the multiverse. This ranger has been tempted by dark magic many times, but thanks to the fact that the Black Ranger protects his entire team from dark magic with his magic sword, Jack has never been an evil ranger. The next member of the team is the Blue Ranger, who has the ability of all Blue Rangers, intelligence. This Blue Ranger is named Ryan, he is 357 years old and is a very active person. This is because his intelligence is so impressive that he finds it very difficult to control all that knowledge, and sometimes he just talks too much. Although perhaps many may think that Ryan has no fighting skills, the reality is that he is one of the best fighters in the universe. This Blue Ranger knows fighting strategies very well, and that is why he can defeat almost any opponent. The sixth member of the team is the Red Ranger, one of the most powerful rangers of the multiverse, and this is because he has a very special connection with the Morphin grid. Owen has studied the grid all his life and has come to the conclusion that he only needs to feed on this power to be one of the best rangers in history. This Red Ranger has belonged to several teams throughout the multiverse since Universe 317 is not his main universe, and he himself does not even know his birthplace. The grid selected him since his birth, so he was moved to another safer place, and that is why no one knows his age. It is for this reason that he has always studied the grid very well, because he also wants to know his place of origin, and this has made his connection with the grid much better than that of all the rangers. The Red Ranger's dragon is the fiercest of all, as he is always full of energy and only Owen can calm him down. The mentor of this team is King Alec, who was the Black Ranger before and handed over the power to Frank. Alec became the king of the land, and because he is almost 1,000 years old due to a spell, he is full of wisdom to guide the Rangers. Now this team of Power Rangers Dragon Knights must help the Power Rangers Elemental Force with their magic and dragons in order to defeat evil in the main universe. Meanwhile, on Earth there is a very complicated battle as Vrox is destroying the entire city. The Rangers are losing the battle, and Zarnak has started to spread all his evil magic around the world. Kairos has tried to stop this dark magic, but unfortunately his powers have not been enough as Zarnak has become more powerful. Because of this dark magic many people have died and there are others who have become some kind of monsters that only obey evil. Vrox has named these monsters Gorvex, a combination of dark magic, humanity, and pure evil. Because of this, the Rangers began to lose the battle as too many Gorvex are attacking them, and the Rangers no longer have the capacity to face this challenge. The Gorvex have started to destroy everything and Vrox is leading this huge army of monsters. The Red Ranger has tried to burn the Gorvex, but the skin of these monsters is made of a very resistant rock. Because of this, the Blue Ranger has tried to freeze these monsters, but apparently they are unstoppable. Nothing affects them, electricity doesn't hurt them either, and the only ranger that can destroy them is the Green Ranger since he controls the rocks. In addition to this, we must remember that his hammer can destroy spells, and since these monsters are created with dark magic, the Green Ranger begins to destroy them. Also, the Black Ranger starts to help him since this ranger can control all the elements, although he does not have a magic hammer. Unfortunately, they can't destroy them all because there are too many of them, and that's why Kairos asked the White Ranger to look for the Dragon Knights team. We must remember that in the universe of this team magic is very common and all these rangers can control almost any magic. Because the Dragon Knights team has not yet arrived, the Elemental Force team decides to create an attack together to try to eliminate as many Gorvex as they can and try to save as much of the world as possible.
Yeah! Elemental Force, we're rising strong. Fire, air, earth, water, energy, we belong. Fighting for justice with a power so divine. Power Rangers, Elemental Force, it's our time.
The Power Rangers Elemental Force united all their elements and created a pure energy attack. This stopped the dark magic and at the same time managed to destroy hundreds of Gorvex, but unfortunately this is not enough. In addition to this, an attack as powerful as this cannot be done multiple times, and the Rangers must wait a long time to do such a powerful attack again. At the place where the Elemental Force Rangers are, there are no more enemies, but there are still many Gorvex around the world. For now, there is a moment of peace, but this does not mean that the battle is over and the Rangers must prepare for the next fight. Just then the Power Rangers Dragon Knights team arrives.
Through the mist, the echoes call of kings and queens in ancient halls. With swords of power, shields held tall, we ride the winds and never fall. Power Rangers, Dragon Knights, in the heart of battle we ignite. With the strength of steel and flame so bright, we conquer dark, bring back the light. In castles high and lands unknown, with magic's might we've overthrown the reign of fear, the ancient fight. We stand as one, Dragon Knights. Dragon Knights, our legacy, guardians of eternity. In the lore of fire and might, we are the Power Rangers, Dragon Knights.
The White Ranger talks to the Elemental Force team so they can meet the Dragon Knights team, and now there is a change of leadership. Dragon Knight's Black Ranger decides to take command since this battle is a magical battle and the Elemental Force Rangers do not have the ability to be able to defeat Zarnak. Because Sam, the Blue Ranger of Elemental Force, is a very smart man, he recognizes that his team is not prepared to defeat Zarnak and tells the Rangers to follow the orders of Frank, the Black Ranger of Dragon Knights. The leader's first order is that they must search for Zarnak since he is the root of the whole problem, and if they manage to destroy him, then they will be able to stop the monsters without so much effort. The search begins, but the Rangers do not understand the magnitude of the power that Zarnak now has and perhaps make a mistake in trying to find him. Meanwhile, Vrox is in the city of Japan and begins to destroy everything with his army of Gorveks. At that moment, a mysterious warrior appears, who has a spectacular style and apparently also has the ability to destroy the Gorveks. Vrox realizes this and begins to attack this mysterious warrior but fails to even touch him. This mysterious warrior is named Noah, a Japanese ninja educated in magic and the art of war. For many centuries the Japanese have perfected the art of war and have gradually educated themselves in magic. This has helped them to create their own connection to the grid, and this is why Noah is such a powerful warrior. In the year 3025 there is a Power Rangers team that controls 4 elements: fire, water, air, and earth. This team is called Power Rangers Elemental Force, and yes, they are the future generation of the Power Rangers Elemental Force team that you have met. This is the same team that the Yellow Ranger belonged to, but because she traveled to the past and was never able to return, so now this team from the future only has 5 members. Like the previous team, the Blue Ranger controls water, the Red Ranger controls fire, the White Ranger controls air, the Green Ranger controls earth, and the Gold Ranger controls the 5 elements. Because the Yellow Ranger's time travel was unintentional, now the Elemental Force Rangers of the year 3025 are trying to figure out how to travel back in time to rescue her. The Red Ranger, an impressive woman who can control fire and is a warrior, is the leader of this team. This ranger can also use technology to be able to channel her powers just like the other rangers on the team, including the Yellow Ranger who is trapped in the past. This ranger has a very powerful sword that can cut through almost anything and is the same sword that the Red Ranger of the past had, as it has been passed down from generation to generation. The Blue Ranger, which controls the water, is also the smartest of the team, just like the Ranger of the past, but in this team this Ranger is only in charge of all the technology and weaponry. We must remember that in this era the technology is very advanced, so the Blue Ranger has a lot of work, and for this reason he cannot lead the team. This Blue Ranger has also built the command center, the morphers, some weapons, and has made many improvements to the Zords. The Green Ranger is possibly the most different in this team, because he controls the earth element. He has become a person a little far from technology, and for this reason he lives in the jungle. This ranger also has a hammer as a weapon, as he says he can use it to build and not only to destroy. This ranger has managed to master magic due to his connection with nature and the help he receives from his magic hammer. The White Ranger is able to control the air, and this is why he has become an airplane pilot. He has always been a very strong person who likes action, so starting to control the air was the best experience of his life. Despite all the adventure he lives in his daily life, all that does not compare with the moments he is being a ranger, because controlling the air is one of the most complicated things there is, and this White Ranger must do medication rituals to be able to concentrate. The Gold Ranger is the daughter of the Gold Ranger of the past because, like her father, she managed to fall asleep in a tomb for hundreds of years in order to be present at this specific time. Because her father had been asleep for a long time before, he could not fall asleep for that long again, so he asked his daughter to do so in order to warn the Rangers of the future about the Yellow Ranger and the war they are living through. After the Gold Ranger woke up, several years passed and she had never told the team anything, so there would be no changes in the timeline. This works so that everything happens as it should happen since it is necessary, and this is why she knew that the Yellow Ranger was going to travel in time. This Gold Ranger can also control the 5 elements, and this is why she is also the 6th Ranger of the team. This is the Power Rangers Elemental Force Team of the year 3025 with a Red Ranger as the team leader, a Blue Ranger who helps with technology, a Green Ranger who lives in the jungle, a White Ranger who likes adventure, and a Gold Ranger who actually comes from the past with a key message for this team. After the Yellow Ranger traveled to the past, the Gold Ranger talked to the team and confessed to them that she came from the past. At first, they didn't believe her because they thought the Yellow Ranger was just lost, but they didn't think she had traveled to the past, and that's why they couldn't find her. The mentor of this team is Volt, a very advanced artificial intelligence that was built by the Lyrans, a species that lives on the planet Nebu, the same species from which the White Ranger of the past comes from. Some Lyrans had moved to Earth and brought some of their technology with them in order to build some things. In this way, the Lyrans created a very advanced community that managed to build very advanced technology, and this included Volt. This artificial intelligence managed to acquire all the information of what had happened on Earth during these 3,000 years, but also managed to obtain knowledge about the planet Nebu, which is an older species. It is for this reason that he became a supreme intelligence and was in charge of creating the technology to send the Yellow Ranger to the past. Because Volt knows all the history, he already knew that the Rangers of the past were going to need help to defeat Zarnak, and he also knew the tragedy that would happen if he did not change history. Volt had found out that the Power Rangers Elemental Force died in that war in the past and that Zarnak managed to destroy the Earth with the help of rocks. The only way he would change history is by doing a time travel, but Volt had to plan it very well so that this would not change the reality in the present too much. Because of this, his plan was to send only the Yellow Ranger so that she could help the old Power Rangers Elemental Force team, and at the same time they would know that there is also an equal team in the future. With the help of this Ranger, the war would be extended enough so that the daughter of the Gold Ranger would grow up and could control the elements to be able to have the power to sleep until the year 3020. After 5 years of her awakening, the Yellow Ranger's time travel would happen, and the most dangerous mission would begin. The Rangers asked Volt the reason why he did not send the whole team from the beginning, but he told them that this would have caused the Gold Ranger to never exist because they would have arrived in the past before she was born, and in that timeline the Gold Ranger of the past was going to die. Volt had thought things through very well, as he had to choose from hundreds of possibilities among which there were many changes, and the best option he found was to do it this way. Because the way Volt sent the Yellow Ranger to the past was using technology that the Ranger herself built using the instructions that the artificial intelligence gave her, now the Elemental Force team of the future has no device to be able to make the time travel. Now the Blue Ranger must start building a device that can take the Rangers to the past, and obviously he is going to receive Volt's help to be able to build this. Although all the instructions are clear, the reality is that building such an advanced device is very complicated, and the Blue Ranger is going to take some time. For now, the Rangers do not have much time because for the plan to work they must travel to the past soon, Otherwise the temporal changes could be different and this could cause a catastrophic change. After several months of hard work, the Blue Ranger managed to build a time travel device, but this device will also help them to go back. Each of the Rangers in the team has their own device, and they will also bring an extra device for the Yellow Ranger so that she can also go back to the future. Now it just remains to be seen what is going to happen when the Power Rangers Elemental Force of the year 3025 travel back in time to help the old team and the Power Rangers Dragon Knights destroy Zarnak. If you would like to see what happens with this Power Rangers Elemental Force team from the future, like this video and subscribe for new episodes.